Hi, I'm April Rose, your Saturday host for Witchy Wisdom 1. And this week's topic has been about spells and whether it's better to get them from a book or if it's okay to get them from a book versus writing them on your own. I certainly think it's best to write out your own spells. That way it's more intimate, it's closer to the way you view the symbols rather than what just a book says about certain symbols that you might use in your spells or rituals or whatever, because those things are certainly very subjective and are going to vary from person to person, even though there may be similarities. Books are great to use, especially as a reference and when you're beginning, because you don't always know where to start. Whether it's just, going with the same format or seeing what kinds of symbols are used, that can be great. And sometimes you just don't have the time to write out and try this ritual that you're just trying to come up with off the top of your head. Certainly if you're going to do a spell or ritual, you don't want it to be just completely off the fly. It's going to take some thought and some preparation. So when you're short on time or just, kind of getting the hang of it, books can be wonderful, whether it's used, to actually look up specifically a spell that's pre-written or one that you kind of looking at it for reference to kind of get an idea. Certainly, I would suggest getting to a point where you can and generally do write out your own spells and rituals. But, again, in the beginning, that's not always possible. And even in later years, it can be a great source of, trying something new that you haven't done before but you're curious about. If you want to incorporate something new, like masks or makeup or ecstatic dancing or chants or like ritual drumming or anything that you're not used to, trying to find it in a context that's already pre-written can be very helpful, especially if you're not sure what you're doing and you're trying to experiment. And those are very important things. And I think even as you get more comfortable writing your own spells, it's still good to go look up books and websites that do have their own and to get inspiration from them and just to see what other people are doing. As in any field of study, it's good to, kind of go back and look at the foundation of what's already been done and try that. Eventually you want to get to a point where you are kind of going off onto your own path, making your own discoveries, and contributing to that field of knowledge so that other people can learn from you as well. And even when you're doing that, you always want to look at what your contemporaries are doing, go back and research anything that maybe you missed or didn't quite understand when you were first beginning. And that's really just as important as coming up with your own spells, even if you don't end up using those concepts and practices in your witchcraft or worship. It's still good to be knowledgeable of what other people are doing, whether it's from another culture or just what another generation is doing. Especially I think as we get older, it'll be important to look at what younger witches are doing. What are their interpretations of what we've put out into the world for them to study? And I think that's something that can enrich our lives as much as theirs. I actually don't have a whole lot more to say. I think that pretty much covers it. If there's any questions, just comment below. Have a good night.